Hello my gorgeously fantastic creatures, I'm Fantasims and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I, a fantasy-based builder, am going to attempt to renovate a pre-made Maxis house into a normal industrial/modern home, which is very much out of my comfort zone. And I'm not gonna lie, sharing this video might be a bad idea. This might just put an end to my very short-lived building career in The Sims, but I'm just gonna do it. Okay, enough with the melodrama, wish me luck. So I'm currently working on Stargate Atlantis and a haunted mansion, but they, like always, are taking forever to build. So I thought I'd share a video of me attempting to build something normal-ish. Like, give me a castle? No problem. A dragon? Yeah, I can do that. A post-apocalyptic city? Yes. A dystopian machine? Done. A suburban home for a family? No clue what I'm doing, and I even live in one. So this is the Maxis pre-made that I am going to renovate in this video. It is called the Ragdol Refurb, and it is in Brindleton Bay, and it's a very funky shape. I have seen this kind of design in urban factory-style towns before, with like this floating wall, like a privacy wall, even though there's no roof over it or anything. The only thing I don't get is people pay bank for a view like this off the bay. So why would you wall that off? I mean, it does have some windows, but you've got these big, beautiful windows over here to see the view, and then you've got these little framed windows. So we are going to make some changes to this, and I'm going to be following the normal types of shell challenge rules, where I cannot add any walls to it, but I can change the walls inside. I am allowing myself to add a basement if I need to, but the basement can't be bigger than the house itself. And I can change the roofing and landscaping and all that kind of stuff. This is a massive house, but it's only for one person. There's only like one bedroom or two people, like a couple. But it is a very big house, and I'm going to be transforming it into a house for a family of 5, a couple and 3 kids. So here we go. To make it even harder on myself, I chose to limit myself to 2 packs, Eco Lifestyle and Tiny Living, which is very different from me because I usually use like every pack there is in my builds. I'm so sorry guys, I'm a tad excessive, aren't I? But at least with this build, I proved to myself that I can keep things simple if I want to. I just usually don't want to. So there are not really any proper load-bearing walls on the bottom floor, but you can get away with it if you use huge steel beams, and since this is an industrial build, I figured that was a more plausible excuse for the lack of architectural support. I'm just trying to make my excuses sound smarter. But I did really struggle with what to do for the roofing and pretty much this entire build because I didn't know how to do the layout. It's really hard when you've got lots of skinny rectangular rooms to create a good flow to them, and I'm not used to building such small rooms because I was trying to cram in a ton of space for a family. I mean, this is huge. This is, in real life, this is way bigger than the house I'm currently living in, and there's plenty of room for a whole family in my house. But I don't know, for some reason in The Sims, I just, you know me, I love my 64x64 lots. I love making ridiculously huge things, and I always wonder why it takes me 2 weeks to finish the build. But anyway, at least with this one, I got to use objects I don't normally use in my building. So that was really fun actually, and I did enjoy trying to get a bit of a modern feel. I'm not really much of a modern builder. I love historical looking stuff, especially ancient stuff. But it was fun to do something a bit different, and Eco Lifestyle, I just love the objects in that pack, the colors. It's got like all these really nice pastel-y but still bright colors, so I'm not a huge super bright colored person, but I do enjoy the colors here. And so I was making some custom shelving against the cabinet because I wasn't planning on having bar stool seating there anyway, so I just put some of the Eco Lifestyle fizzy drinks, kombucha drinks, no, not kombucha, the fizzy juice I put on there, and I basically kept the kitchen in the same area that it originally was, but I did reshape and use different counters and whatever, and I do love those industrial based game counters, but we really need more kitchen counters. And then I created a sunken living room area because it's such a big open space. A great way to break up that space is to create different platform levels, and this was, I started building this before platforms came out, so I end up later on changing this with the platform tool that we now have. But before the platform tool, the only way you could get that sunken living room look was if you cut out the floor, if you raised up the foundation level of the house, and then inside cut out the room, and then you can't build a floor, but you can place tiles on the grass, like on the landscaping floor. And then here's me laying out a ton of objects because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. As per usual, this, you guys know, this is how I always build. I fill it with furniture, I fill it with clutter until I can figure out which objects I want to use. I envy the builder that knows exactly what they want to use, or a lot of times I'll watch other people's speed builds, and they just scroll through the menu and pick out the stuff they want, and they include that footage in the video. But for me, I spend so long scrolling, and I think it's because I'm a very indecisive person, because I'll look at all the options and I'm like, do I really love this one more than that one? So I really don't need to ponder every single object. I'm learning to just slap an object down, and if it looks good, great, let's just go with it. I did have fun creating a toddler's room because I don't really do family gameplay. I'm not against families, it's just, I don't know, raising kids in a game like this isn't really my thing. I much prefer aliens and medieval times, and not that they didn't have kids then, but like going on epic quests, fighting dragons, all that kind of stuff. So it's not really a family gameplay thing. So I was quite chuffed with myself for being able to create a kids room, because I don't really ever build kids rooms. And then I really didn't know what to do with the outside, especially the staircase issue. And I ended up with a staircase to the upstairs on the outside of the house, which isn't ideal. I mean, I do know that there are homes like that, but if you want to transition from being downstairs to upstairs, I did put a ladder in, but if you want to carry like stuff upstairs, like a backpack or what? No, you can wear a backpack to go up a ladder, duh. But like if you've got I don't know, bags, furniture, whatever, and you want to go upstairs, you actually have to go outside the house to go upstairs, which in real life would not be very safe, and if it's raining, you'd get soaked. So it's not ideal, but I always make the excuse that, hey, it's The Sims, we can do what we want. It doesn't have to be realistic because The Sims isn't realistic. So that's my excuse for whenever it doesn't make sense, just blame it on it being a game, and it doesn't need to. And so here I just have an excessive amount of furniture everywhere. But I was trying to come up with a way to encase the TV so that, like, it's like when you see magazines of modern homes and there's no cords anywhere, there's no electrical sockets, there's no storage of any kind, and it's like, yeah, it looks great in a picture, but nobody can actually live there. So I was trying to come up with ways to include enough storage that a realistic household would need, without it being so cluttered, because I did want it to have more of a modern, sleek, clean look to it. And I'm really thankful for all the cabinets that come with Eco Lifestyle. I love them. I love the wood. I love that it comes with pillows and blankets already inside, because how many of us try and use the folded towels as pillows and try and stack them on shelves, and it takes a while. So it's nice when you've already got objects that have the clutter inside them like that, which I really hope in future packs we get a lot more of that kind of stuff. And I'm noticing with the new paranormal pack that's coming out, that couch has fabric draped on it and pillows, and I'm really excited about that, and I really hope we get more like that. The only thing I wouldn't want though is that, like with our Eco Lifestyle, if you look at the beds, the pillows, I said this in my review of Eco Lifestyle, the pillows are yellow and black, with pretty much every color swatch of the bed, and I'm like, who partners yellow and black with like a pastel green? Or, you know, maybe in a very funky room that works, but I don't want every pillow swatch to be yellow and black. And so I'm hoping that if they start including more pillows and blankets on furniture, that they don't pick these really funky colors that you really can only use with a very specific color scheme. We like our neutrals as well as our bright colors so that we can use them in homes that don't look super weird. So And one thing I also do with my builds a lot is I jump from room to room, because part of it's ADD. I'll start building on something and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to include this in the kitchen. Oh yeah, the trash can. Oh yeah. And so I jump back and forth a lot. But I think with this build, I did pretty well at sticking to an area until it was almost finished. So that kind of works out. And I just love this massive entryway. If I had a house, I would love to have a huge entryway. It's always been a big dream of mine to either take an old industrial, like 1800s Victorian factory, or an old cathedral, you know, with the vaulted ceiling, like one of those smaller chapels, not like a massive cathedral, but like a small one, and convert them into a house. I mean, it would be super expensive, but I just love the look when you blend modern look with ancient or old buildings. I don't know, I just love it. So the idea of having a factory that you've transformed into a house just is really cool to me. And I would love it to have these big open spaces with lots of sunlight, because I have severe chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia fatigue, and I live in Michigan where it gets really dark in the winter. I pretty much never need to open my curtains because it is so dark. And it really drains me. So I'm really excited about the summer, because the minute the sunlight comes out, I'm like a new person. I can think clearer, I feel more alive, I really respond to sunlight. So I'm dreaming of a future home that's just like flooded with light, like this build. So I was really happy building this, because even though it's fake and this isn't real sunlight, just looking at that beautiful sunlight radiating through the house just felt so exciting, and I really want that in real life. So at least in The Sims we can build our dream homes. I mean, this isn't my dream home, but it has elements that I would love in my real home. So I'm just cluttering up the kids area with lots of toys, and then this is the entrance into the bedroom area. And so I thought maybe creating another desk space, like just the family computer, and then the bedrooms would have their own individual computers. I don't think I ended up putting a computer in the downstairs basement, because I create a basement, so that one's probably the computer that the married couple uses. Who knows, it can be whatever. And then here I just had no clue what to do about the bedrooms, and I had a really hard time figuring out the shape of the rooms, especially because the roofing, oh man, don't even get me started on the roofing. I played with the roofing so many times, I had no clue what I was doing, and as you can see here, the shapes I was coming up with were horrible. So I enclosed that area that just had that floating wall that I didn't like, and I decided to turn it into a hallway into the bedrooms. And the hard part was lining up the shape of the bedrooms with the way that I had glass roofing, because the glass roofing went over some of the walls, and it just looks weird when you've got part of the glass roof over a wall that doesn't go all the way up. I mean, I know some modern builds are like that, where they've got walls that are a bit lower than the ceiling, and that works fine. Probably not making any sense saying that, but anyway, I had to keep reshaping the rooms and the roof to try and get it to all look right, because I wanted the bedrooms to also be flooded by lots of light. And I just love the way that the fake sun, the sim sun, shines through those windows. So here's me really struggling with the roof, and I tell you, this roofing was so ugly, and I don't know that the roofing I finished with is the best roofing, but I think it works. And I'm not the best with roofing. I'm pretty good at fantasy roofing, and with the Japanese builds I've been doing, I'm quite chuffed at how those Japanese roofs turned out. But when it comes to just a basic normal roof for a normal looking house, I don't know why, I just really struggle. It should be easier, but for some reason it's not. And it's a very cramped area. This house does not come with a big backyard, because it goes straight onto the public walkway street, but you can still get away with trying to create a bit of a yard feel. I did want to add a bit of greenery so it's not all concrete looking, and I just didn't know what to do with this build. I had no clue. So those of you who build modern and normal homes, you can critique me, and you can tell me what things I can do in the future if I ever so choose to try and tackle a build like this again. How can I do it better? What kind of tips and tricks would you suggest for when you're building? I tried to give it some levels to make it a bit more interesting, because when you're only working with a few tiles, I don't know, if you just keep the landscaping flat, it looks a bit boring. But if you add a few levels, it can add some depth, especially with shadows. If you can try and create shadows with your build, it just always makes it look more, obviously three-dimensional, but more interesting. I don't know. And I kept changing the wall swatches. I do this with every build. I change the wall swatches so many times, and I just sit there staring at the screen, pondering which one looks better, going back and forth, back and forth. It drives me crazy. I don't know if any of you guys are like that too, but I definitely am, and that's part of why it takes me so long to get buildings done. So anyway, here's me trying to create a basement because there just wasn't enough room for the bedrooms for a huge family to live in. And so I thought that the married couple, the parents, whatever, could go in the basement, like live in the basement. I mean, they don't get the nice lighting, but I figure, hey, they can do all their other things during the day upstairs, and then at nighttime it's dark anyway, so they can go down to the basement, and it's more privacy. Because one thing I've always thought about with all these modern homes that have these massive glass windows without any curtains is everyone can see your business, everyone can see what you're doing, and it's weird. And there's plenty of creeps in the world that I wouldn't want them just staring into my window watching me like watch TV or cooking or whatever. So anyway, so I figured it gives them more privacy if they're down in the basement, but I still wanted it to look bright so it's not super gloomy and depressing. So it has a lot of bright whites, a lot of pastel blues and minty greens, and it's just pretty much every room is kind of the same in the sense that I use mainly the eco lifestyle furniture. The toddler's room was fun because I could get a bit more playful. Usually when I'm building, I'm doing like dystopian, grungy, really dark type of stuff. So I don't often get to use like the cutesy objects, the really brightly colored objects. So that was kind of fun to play around with those things that I never use. And then I ended up moving the basement staircase off to the side. And I just love the big, bright, open space. I did clutter it up a bit, but I'm not used to not overly cluttering it up. Like I said before, you guys know me, I'm super excessive when I put objects everywhere, so this is a very clean and simple design for me, which sometimes is harder because, I mean, less is more, but a lot of times when I keep it simple, I'm like, oh no, this is boring. But in real life, it feels so much nicer and more relaxing when you have less clutter around, so I don't know, I guess it's a very peaceful build maybe. And then finally I got the roof shape the way that I wanted it, and I think it turned out pretty good. And then here's me just doing finishing touches, finishing up those bedrooms, adding the storage in, and I must say I do love how the bedrooms turned out. I did first start making one of the bedrooms super dark, like lots of black and everything, but then I later changed that, and I wanted to create this custom headboard by using those wooden, I don't know what they are, they're wall decorations with eco lifestyle. So I just sized a bunch of them down and created this like big wooden wall, because you know how that was the trend a few years ago, was to take like what are those called? Not crates, whatever. It's escaping my brain right now. But those like crate pieces of wood, and create like a wooden wall. Although what I will say is people didn't realize how dangerous that is, because a lot of those crate wood thingies are treated like fence posts with chemicals to make them not go moldy outside, and those chemicals are actually really dangerous for your health. So making a whole wall of them in your house is probably not the best idea. Pallets, that's what it was. Remember when like pallet furniture was like really trendy and in? Yeah, pallets are most of them are treated with chemicals, so that's not the kind of stuff you want underneath your bed. But anyway, and I like this contrast of blue with white. I never used to like how, like, especially American homes, usually it's beige, like when you buy a new house, everything's painted beige, or it's white. And so I know that it's easier and it feels bigger to paint all your walls white, but I really love when there's a splash of colour, or I personally, my favourite colour is like a dolphin grey, which I know is probably depressing for some people, but I think it might be the ADD, but when I'm surrounded by tons of bright colours, I actually get really overwhelmed. But when everything's like a pale grey, it calms me for some reason. So the one thing I do love is that all the colours from Eco Lifestyle do have a bit of that, not grey, they're not grey tinted, but they're not so intense. So the whites and the blues just look really relaxing. So I did a lot of that kind of colour. And I love those baskets with the draped fabric over them. Anything that has, I don't know, looks not so stiff. Like if you compare it to the earlier packs and like base game furniture, everything looks very stiff and plasticky and very boxy. But I love how with each pack that's coming out now, couches are starting to look more comfortable. There's a lot more shading to them. Things are starting to look a bit more three-dimensional. I mean, it's definitely nothing like custom content. And building with custom content is so much faster because you can convey the shape and style of something just with a couple of objects. Whereas when you're not using custom content, you really have to think about, how can I make this look more realistic? So I am liking the way that they're going in the more recent packs with the style and the details they've put in and everything. And then in the front, I did want it to feel, I don't know, a bit like it's not a house, more like it's the front of an industrial building. But on the inside, I wanted it to feel cozy enough that it feels like, yeah, I could live in here. And here's me trying to do this dark, sleek look, but it ended up just looking super depressing. So I changed it more to browns later on to make it feel a bit warmer, because you've got all this beautiful lighting coming in the house. It seems a bit weird to have this really dark, black, gothic type of room. Which, no offense to gothic rooms, I love creating dark, gloomy, grungy builds. But for this one, I just wanted it to feel really bright and cheerful. So there I change it to browns and orange and I can't remember the other colour. And then to wall off the sunken living room area, just to give it a less exposed feel, I used those climbing plant wall divider things, like with ivy on it. And this is literally just the finishing touches. I realized the bathroom really did need some sort of curtain because nobody wants to poop with everyone staring at them. Or maybe you do, but that's super weird and I wouldn't advise it. And so I'm just trying to make it feel a bit more lively in the back so it doesn't feel like it's just concrete, metal and whatnot. And so there's this little seating area with lots of plants around you and a grill. I don't know that having a grill right next to a wall of plants is ideal, but I think it's far enough away that it won't singe the foliage. And yeah, this is me finishing it up. There's lots of bicycles in the front. There's no chain, they're not tied to anything, so people would probably steal it. But it's The Sims again, so you can do what you want. Now, since this is an eco-styled home, I'm moving in an eco household. I made the eco greens, and this is the father, Tristan Green, and I cannot believe it. He has over 8,000 downloads in the gallery, which is absolutely crazy to me. But the whole family is here. You can download it. It's already in my gallery. And even though I'm more of a builder now, you might not know this, but I actually used to do pretty much nothing but making Sims, so I have a ton of Sims in my gallery. But anyway, the eco greens are now moving in to this home here. The Ragdol Refurb has been refurbished again, and I do think that it turned out better than the original. I don't know if it's an incredible normal looking industrial build, you'll have to let me know, but at least there's lots of lighting. In the basement we have this apartment style suite for the couple, for the parental units. Sorry, I'm like ADD spinning everything. Okay, so here's the bathroom. It's a cozy sized bathroom. I mean, it's bigger than my bathroom. And we've got this modern yet comfortable bed arrangement. I stuck with very minty greens. A little area for them to watch movies by themselves away from the kiddos. Some storage in the hallway. And then up the stairs we go into a very simple and open plan. A massive kitchen. I wouldn't mind a kitchen this size with all that room. A little seating area over here. Dining area, and then a sunken living room. Oh my gosh, with them standing there like that, it's so creepy. It's like they've been brainwashed by artificial intelligence. Sorry, I'm turning it sci-fi. Normal build, Kara, normal build. Okay, so then over here we have a toddler's room. I mean, safety-wise in real life, in an industrial area like this, where there's not really any privacy between you and the public area where people walk around. It's not ideal to have a toddler have their room all by themselves on the main floor, but it's The Sims, so they'll be fine. And then this is like a basic bathroom for everyone to use. We've got this big open area for lots of sunlight, and you access it with the ladder over here, which is not ideal, especially if you're carrying bags or anything with you, but it's okay. The teenagers are up here, and each of the teenagers have their own bathroom, which that is luxury. I wouldn't mind as a teenager having my own bathroom. So this one is a bit of a darker styled room, plenty of storage for all your knickknacks, and a big bed. And on this side it's a lot brighter. We've got blues and whites and a bit of mess because, you know, teenagers, although I'm a grown adult and I still have a much more mess than that. And another study area, and then a personal, very bright white bathroom. I mean, it's not ideal that I have an outdoor stairway into the bedrooms. Again, not very safe, not very practical, but it seemed weird to just only have a ladder, so you can access upstairs with a staircase, provided you go outside to do it. And then in the back, we've just got a simple little garden and grilling area to enjoy that harbour view. And there you have it. And here's the father completely walking past his toddler son who's struggling to get up the stairs, you know, like all good fathers do. But I wanted to do some playtest type of shots of the family interacting with the build so that you can see how it feels. Whenever you put Sims inside, all of a sudden the perspective of the size of everything starts to make sense. Because a lot of times when I'm building stuff, I'm like, man, this feels really small. But when you have a Sim inside, you're like, oh, actually this is huge. So here are the kids. Here's the beautiful sun beaming through the house. I love the street view. And then we're about to see the family eating together real quick. And I just love the lighting on this. I love it. Maybe I'll try and do another modern build in the future. It's not really my forte, but doing this build kind of exposed me to how much it's actually quite fun. So I don't know. Maybe you guys would like that. Maybe you guys are like, no, stick to fantasy building, which is totally fine with me because I love my fantasy builds. And so here we are, just zooming over the kitchen and the living area so that you can get a sense of what it feels like inside. Oh, those high ceilings. I get claustrophobic really easily, so the thought of having super high ceilings is like, yes. So now we're going upstairs, walking through the hallway. The lights look kind of weird poking through the beams, but hey, we work with what we've got here. And then this area, I think, has outdoor lighting. I can't remember why, but it doesn't matter. And then here's that dark, gloomy bedroom that I changed into a more warm, cozy bedroom. I would live in this bedroom. I like it. All that room. Although, again, no curtains, so you definitely need to change in the bathroom and not in the bedroom. And then here's the other bedroom. Nice and bright and almost completely clean. And, I mean, when you look up into the or into the roofing, it does look a little bit weird here and there, but I think the overall feel of it looks pretty good. And then here we are going down into the basement. I just love having Sims walk around in first person mode. It's so fun. And unlike normally where I have to really worry about objects poking through walls because I'm always creating these weird fantasy and sci-fi builds, with this one I didn't even have to worry about stuff poking through the walls, which was a refreshing change. I wish my basement looked like this. It's so nice. Look at that. All bright and cheerful, cozy, your own little space. And there you go. That's me attempting to transform a Maxis shell into something that's livable in the real world. Let me know if I did a decent job or not. I really can't tell. It's really weird. Like I said before, give me a fantasy build, give me a weird sci-fi build, and yeah, that's right up my alley. Give me a normal build. I have no clue what I'm doing, which is weird, but anyway. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got tons of builds coming up that I'm really excited to share with you guys. I always appreciate your feedback and your comments. Sometimes I'm really slow to reply to you. I apologize for that, but I really love interacting with you guys. If you like this video, be sure to give it an encouraging thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified about fresh content. As always, I love you guys so freaking much.